Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Introduce myself. My name is Yulis Tianingsih. I am from class 4A, English Education Department students at Islamic University of Sultan Syarif Qasim, Riau. So in this occasion, I would like to explain the material from language interaction in Islamic perspective course guided by Mr. Siswandi. The topic is about the values of language communication in Islam. Communication is a form of human interaction that mutually influence one another, intentionally or unintentionally, not only limited to forms of communication that use verbal language, but also in terms of facial expression, painting, art, and also technology. Therefore, if we are in a communication situation, we have some similarities with others, such as the similarity of language or the similarity of the meaning of the symbols used in communication. So in Islam, communication has a main reference, which is a way of life for Muslim, namely the Quran and the Hadith of the Prophet Muhammad SAW. These two main sources give the characteristic of Islamic communication. And also in the Quran and Al-Hadith found various guidelines so that communication goes well and effectively. We can term it as a rule, principle, or ethics of Islamic communication. Namely, number one is Qawlan Sadida, or we can say it through words or honest, by Al-Quran Surah An-Nisa verse 9. There have meaning that and let fear of Allah those who, if they leave weak offspring behind them, who they worry about their welfare. Therefore, let them fear Allah and let them speak with the right words, or Qawlan Sadida. So from the verse, it means that the Qawlan Sadida is a true and appropriate word. That is a word that not only required to have correct information, but also to have the correct use of time it is and the place where it is used. So next, number two is Qawlan Baligha, or we can say that right on target, communicative, to the point, and also easy to understand. By Quran Surah An-Nisa verse 63. Okay. From this verse, it can be interpreted that the success of an information in a communication does not lie in the length of the information, but the extent to which the information or the message conveyed can touch the heart of the interlocutor or communicant, so that it can leave an imprint on their hearts. Okay. For the next, number three is Qawlan Ma'rufa, or we can say it kind words, by Al-Quran Surah Al-Ahzab verse 32. From that verse, it can give a signal to communicate verbally ma'ruf, which is emphasizes on objects that relatively need them. So communicate with ma'ruf or in easy to understand language by the interlocutor or communicant is an absolute demand in Islam communication. Okay, the next number 4 is Qawlan Karima, or we can say that noble words by Al-Quran Surah Al-Isra, verse 23. From the verse, it is clear that we are commanded to say good or noble words because good and true words are a communication that calls for goodness and is a form to pleasant communication. Okay, for the next is number 5, Qawlan Layyinan, or we can say soft words by Al-Quran Surah Toha verses 43 until 44. Have meaning, go both of you to proud because he really has exceeded the limits. So speak to both of you with gentle words. Hopefully he will wake up or be afraid. So from this verse, first it can be concluded that Qawlan Layyinan means soft speech with pleasant voice and full of friendliness, so that it can touch heart, meaning not to raise the voice, such as yelling, raising one voice. And for the last point is Qawlan Masyura, or we can say light words by Quran Surah Al-Isra verse 28. Have meaning is, and if you turn away from them to obtain the mercy from their Lord that you hope for, then say to them Qawlan Masyura. It is an easy word. So the message to the first is, even though you cannot give them who expect help from us, but give kind words, because kind words are far more useful than the so-called gifts that offends those who ask. So from the previous explanation before, my explanation, several conclusions can be drawn, including the Quran states that speaking truth conveys true message is a prerequisite for greatness, goodness, benefits, and also charity. And then the commandment to say in the Quran and Hadith become indication of the obligation for Muslim to apply the nature of honesty and truthful words in the Quranic concept, not as Qawlan Sadidan. So I think that's all explaining from me about the values of language communication in Islam. I hope that is useful for us. I'm sorry for my mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.